What's up, guys? Welcome to the Iron Edge. Very, very excited to be back. This week's guest is none other than Mr. Brian Alsruhe. Thank you for joining us. How are you, sir?
I'm great, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Really, it's an honor. I mean, I know you and I know each other and we talk and whatever, but it's awesome to be on this podcast, man. I'm stoked.
me too. We've been trying to make it work for a while, so I'm really glad that we got to get it going.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
before I dive into everything, one thing I'm trying to do with this new podcast is I have a question um, that I'm trying to start it out with, and
Sure.
that is, who is Brian Alsruhe today? Like, how do you define yourself today versus whatever? Like, who is Brian today?
I wasn't expecting this question, bro.
It
Um,
gets deep right
it
off the
does. It
bat.
gets deep quick, man. But I'd rather get deep quick, you know? Um, I will say you and I both are about ready to part of who we are is about ready to change, right? Because we're
Mhm.
both about ready to become first time fathers. And so that role, uh, that changes everything, right? I just think the mom from Home Alone, I can't remember her name, right? But she just died, and
Yeah,
the big thing is she's had all these movie roles, stuff like that, and they showed a clip of her. I saw on Instagram or something where they ran up and they asked her what her
yeah,
greatest role was, and she's like, of being a mother, and number one, that hits different now,
hmm,
right? Like before, I've been
yep,
like, that's a dumb answer. Like Home Alone's definitely, Beetlejuice, But but now that hits different, and I'm like, holy crap, that's true. Like what you're about to do, you're about to make a little human being and change, right? And so that's something that was never on my bingo card. I'm turning 46 soon, getting ready to have my first kid. I'm gonna be like 95 when they graduate. So it's it's a weird thing, right? But at the same time, um, I've done a lot of changing in the recent history too. If people know my story, I was kind of doing the strongman and YouTube thing, pretty hardcore, and getting to a pretty good competitive level. And then I got real sick, right? I started throwing up, and it ended up that I had a parasite from a previous job I did for the government, and was overseas and somehow got a parasite and was throwing up. Literally, it led up to 30 to 50 times a day that I would throw up, and yeah, it was terrible, and it lasted for years. Like no one could figure out what was going on. They eventually figured out the parasite, and I got cured, right? But that kind of took my competitive plans, and I mean, I dropped 70
mhm.
pounds in a month, just
Dude,
plummeted, and obviously, you know what your strength does when something like that
yeah,
happens. So that kind of changed my strongman thing to I guess we're something different now, right?
hmm,
And then coming out of that, I was like, well, I kind of still want to do the strongman thing, so I'm still training and doing my stuff. But then I guess there comes a time in a lot of people's lives when if they're a social media influencer, where at least for me, where you're like, you know what, I don't feel so much like the prom king anymore. I'm not like the popular
hmm,
kid in class, and things kind of level out, and then you become like a journeyman who's kind of like, well, I like creating, I like doing this, but it's not what it used to be, right?
yeah,
And so I kind of saw the writing on the wall and was like, I'm still gonna make videos, still gonna do all my stuff, but I obviously need to do something else, right? And physical bodies, you get into your mid 40s and stuff kind of starts not
hmm,
declining, but everything's just more challenging, right? Like
yeah,
every diet's more challenging, lifting, everything's more challenging. And so I was talking to my wife one day, and we were trying to figure out what the next step is. My wife is a mental health counselor, like a therapist, right? And we were talking about it. She's like, "Why don't you go be a therapist?" And I'm like, I don't even know that how much I believe in mental health. Like I
yeah,
don't think that's. And she's like, it's what you do right now. Like what you do with weights is like a physical vehicle
mm,
for changing someone's mindset, for changing what someone believes is possible, for all those things. And so the more I thought about it, I was like, you're right. And I don't necessarily need to be like a counselor, like a tell me your feelings counselor. Like
yeah,
I can do that. But I could be like a performance coach, right? Like use applied psychology for human optimization,
mhm,
right? Make a dad a better dad, make a husband a better husband, make an athlete a better athlete, like whatever, right? Because I mean, we both know that the difference between somebody being great and someone being like unforgettable is their mindset, right?
100%,
Like the
yeah,
physical things can be very close, but like if one person's got the mind, they will win, right?
yeah,
And so I was like, why don't I start learning that? And the only holdup to that was that I hate school, like absolutely hate school, right? Like when I went to undergrad, I didn't want to go, but like at the time it was like 1998 when I started going. That's when I graduated high school, and everyone needed to go to college back then. It wasn't even an
Yeah.
option. Like everyone went to college. And so I went to college not having a clue what I wanted to do. Graduated college, but my GPA, my first semester of college, my GPA was 0.4. So I was doing a lot of drinking and not a lot of studying, right? And then so I got put on academic probation. Next semester I really buckled down. I got 0.6 and I got thrown out of college, right? But one of my professors was the dean of students. He was my literature professor, and luckily, like reading is something that I'm passionate about. And so I would always do that work, and I'd have intelligent things to say in class. And he pulled me aside and he's like, "Hey, I just saw that like you're getting thrown out of college." He's like, "You're not stupid. Why are you getting thrown out of college?" And I was like, I don't really like this. This isn't really my thing, you know? And he was like, "If I keep you in college, will you pass?" And I was like, probably make my parents happier, right? So he
Yeah.
kept me in college, like literally he vouched for me, kept me in college, and I ended up graduating with like a 2 point nothing, right? Like it was nothing, but I hated every moment of it. And
Yeah.
so now I'm facing this decision, and I'm like, well, if I'm going to become like a mental health counselor, like a mental coach, I need to go back to school, and it's going to be a master's degree. And I hate like no, I'm not going to do
Yeah.
it. And my wife said something profound, and this is something that everyone can relate to. She goes, "Look, 3 years is going to pass, whether you want it to or not. The next 3 years, the time doesn't care. It's going to keep ticking, right? But if you spend a little bit of extra work every single day for the next 3 years, you're going to have a graduate degree in options. If you
Yeah.
don't, you're going to be exactly where you're at." She's like, "So what do you want to do?" And I was like, "Screw you and your logic," you know what I mean? And so
I
literally I signed
understand.
up for classes, and I just finished my last master's class probably about a month ago, and now I'm just finishing
Okay.
up my internships. We'll get licensed, but I'm taking on clients. Like literally, like my schedule is packed with. I don't really deal with like depressed people or anxiety. A little
Yeah.
bit of that, right? Because everyone's got a little something going on,
Yeah.
anxiety, things like that. Just the life we live, right? It's hard not to
Mhm.
be stressed out about everything going on. But for the most part, it's about using applied psychology to enhance whatever someone's doing. Like, because
Mhm.
really, like, you control your mind, you control everything. I always use this, but you remember the Rage Against the Machine cover? I forget what album it was, where the dude lit himself, the Tibetan
The
monk who
monk.
was
Yep. Yep.
protesting Vietnam, like lit himself on fire and like
Yep.
chilled until he died. And I was like,
Yep.
that's a mindset, right? Like
100%. Yeah.
that's a dude who could go somewhere in his mind. Like pain is just a signal. So every time that somebody's
Mhm.
like, "I don't feel like working out," or like, "It's going to be hard," I'm like, the only thing stopping you is you, right? Like
Yeah.
it's your mind, right? And so, getting to do this, and a lot of these people, because physical health is such a big part of mental health and part of everyone's. Like, if you don't take care of your meat vehicle, it becomes the most important thing in the world, right? Because you don't think about your health until the doctor tells
Mhm.
you, like, "Hey, we don't know if this is cancer," and then
Yeah.
suddenly your health is
Now
the
you're
most
now
important
you're
thing in the world.
backtracking. Yep.
100%, right? And so being able to use the physical as a vehicle to like help people show like how they can mentally push their thresholds and build
Mhm.
their kind of window of tolerance for everything, right? Because like you and I have both been in situations where you're in a workout and you're like a set of squats, right? And you got to get to
Yeah.
20, let's just say that, right? And you're on number 8 and you're like, I might have 10, maybe,
Yeah.
right? But you got someone there next to you being like, "One more," and you go, "One more," and you go, right? Or like even in your own head, like you're just like, "Get one more, breathe a little bit, get another one, get another one."
Yep.
And what you find is that your glass ceilings that you believe is possible, like your ranges, are so low. They are
Yeah.
so low, right? Like you've been in strongman competitions where you had 60 seconds to do a deadlift, right? And in practice, you might have gotten it like 4 or 5 times, and you're like, "Hey, that's gonna be a good score." And then you show up at the event and you need to get 8, and somehow you get 8,
Yeah.
right? Like what you believe is possible, like your perception is not reality at all. And like
No,
that's
not
all in your
close.
mind. And if you can control that, you unlock a ton of things. And that's what I'm able to do for people because I learned the neuroscience. I learned everything that you're supposed to understand about like the autonomic nervous system and your prefrontal cortex and what happens when things actually get serious. And learning how to manipulate that and train that has turned me into a completely different coach because I have some physical lifting clients and I use a ton of mental stuff with. And
Yeah.
I have mental clients that I use a ton of physical stuff with because the two just, they go,
They
right?
meld.
Like,
Yeah.
so I'd say right now, who I am is, I'd say if I was going to say anything, it'd be a guide, right?
Okay.
Because like older than a lot of people, maybe even listening to this at 46. That 46 is not old. If you call me old, I'm gonna be mad, right? But like 46, you can have some wisdom, especially when you've almost died a couple times and you
Yep.
you have some life experience. Like 40, I got a lot of years in
You're
46, you know?
seasoned.
And so like really people come to me and they're like, man, I had this. And I'm like, I can truly understand. Right. And
Hmm.
here's some tools, right? Because as dudes, we're so one-sided for the most part because of how at least our generation, right? Because
Yeah.
like most of our dads didn't do a whole lot of talking about feelings with us, right? And their dads certainly didn't, right? And everyone's just
Hmm.
doing their best. You're not bad mouthing, everyone's just doing their best. But like at some point, like if you're a hammer, all you see is nails, right?
Yeah.
Like literally all you and everything becomes a nail and you have the same solution for everything. But like that's not how life works. And that's not
Hmm.
how life works with your wife. That's not how life works with your daughter. That's not how life works with coworkers or if you're a business owner, like your employee, like you need to learn how to communicate in different sort of like you
Yes.
need to have different tools. And if you are not actively doing those tools, like for your finances, for your calories, for your time, for those things, if you're not managing those times and living intentionally, like life will happen to you. You will not happen to life. And it's been such a blessing to be able to like just help guide people in like a
Yeah.
different sort of way and open their minds to like you're right, this has been totally a mental block because in lifting, right, like how many people get stuck at like a 3 plate bench or a four
Yep.
plate bench or whatever just because it's a new plate, right? Like if you just added fives like you were a psycho person, like just were
It
stacking
means
plates on that
nothing.
side,
Yeah.
or like if you had dumbbells that weren't labeled, like I
Hmm.
wonder what people would be capable of. But people are
Well,
like,
there was.
oh, those are the 80s. The 80s are
Yep.
almost to the top. I can't do the 80s, right? And you're
Well,
like,
there
but
was. There was a time where I was like trying to hit like a 400 pound front squat, kept missing it, kept missing it, kept missing it, and I was like, let me just go. So I was like 100. It was just still back in Scotland, so it was like 180 kilos. I was like,
yep,
let me just go to like 185 or 190. Like, not just let me just see.
yeah,
And I smoked it.
yep,
I'm like, so weird, But it is all mental. It's like
it is.
I did it recently too. Like the fact that you brought up 20 rep squats was fantastic because I literally did that maybe like 4 or 5 weeks ago, where I get to rep pretty much rep 7 or 8, and I'm like, okay,
Yep,
like, and I was did doubles for the first like what 10 to 12 reps, and I was like,
yep,
okay, now you got to do singles, and
yep,
I got up to 17, and I was like, I'm pretty much there. Like I can't hit another like no spotter or nothing. I'm like
yep,
I'm okay. I'm okay right now. We'll maybe come back to this in a couple of weeks.
yep.
But that's it. It's like doing the hard stuff is. I think there's so many people who miss a lot of that. Then obviously you've built like your online identity sort of around doing the hard stuff, whether it's the conditioning, the hard training, strongman, even like the bushcraft type of stuff you were doing a little while ago. Was that intentional, or was that just like an evolution of your content generation?
You mean the bushcraft stuff or just be
No,
doing
just
hard
just
things?
just doing the hard thing in general, just everything in
Man,
general.
I was raised by a hard man that I
Hmm.
respect more than anything, a man that I love. I would not be who I am without my dad, right?
Yep.
I love the dude, right? He's one of the best dads ever, but he was a hard man, right? Not
Yep.
hard like he beat me, not hard like he drank, but I grew up doing construction with him,
Yep.
right? Like 'cause he owned his own construction business and I was the laborer until I got some skills and then I was the laborer
Hmm.
plus some skills and
Yep.
but literally he'd make me dig holes and fill them back in because I had too much energy and he was like, see how many nails you can put in this piece of wood. Like
Yeah.
that was my game. And I literally started going to work with him when I was 5 and just carrying lumber and doing things. And he worked so hard. Like we wouldn't take lunch breaks. We wouldn't take like we worked hard, right? But he
Hmm.
he instilled something in me that was like, you know what? Like if you're gonna do something, like do it. If you're gonna
Yeah.
wash the dishes, like how those dishes are
Hmm.
done is signed with your excellence, right? And so like if you want to halfway it and like that's fine, but that's what you're going to be known for. Because how you treat the
Yep.
small things, how you're going to treat the big things, right?
100%. Yep.
And so my whole life, I've always been like, and also like, I grew up at a different time. Like we grew up with like
Hmm.
Rocky,
Yep.
Arnold, Jean-Claude Van Damme, karate movies. Like
Oh, dude.
it was all about taking the hard way. You know
Yep.
what I mean? It was about like, how disciplined can you be? How much can you endure? How much can you put
Hmm.
up with? And so there were like winters where like I wore shorts all year long, just because I was like, that's tough. I'm going to be tough, right? But like
Yeah.
every single decision that I made built something inside my head that like later when you're doing squats and like you want to quit, right? And you're like, man, like I want to quit. I 2 reps early, right? Like no one's going to know. No one's watching. What does it matter, right? Like what does it matter? But it does matter, right? Because the
Oh, yeah.
first time that you give in to like your diet, like if you've been eating clean for like a month and a half, right? And like the first time that you break that diet, it's hard, right? Because you're like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to break that streak, right? I do not want to
Hmm.
break that streak because momentum is real, right? And you're
Yep.
rolling, right? The second time that you decide to cheat is infinitely easier, right?
Oh,
Like
100%. Yes.
you cut your squats short that first time and you're like, you're mad at yourself because you're like, that's not who I want to be. The
Yeah.
second time you do it, it's a lot easier. And then by
Yeah.
the third time you do it, like literally
It's
momentum is
just
going the
whatever.
other way now, and
Yep.
you need to break that and go the other way,
Hmm.
you know? And that's if you do shortcuts in any area of your life, and I'm not talking shortcuts like smart shortcuts, but I'm talking like when you know that you should put the work in and you don't put the work in, like whatever you do more of becomes a habit, right? And whenever
Oh,
things get
100%. Yeah.
serious, it becomes a habit, right?
Hmm.
That's why, like, when you do your deadlifts, you set up the same way every single time. And the reason why is because you've been on big stages. And when you go on big stages, your brain is elsewhere, right? Like
Hmm.
the world, your sympathetic nervous system kicks in, you get auditory exclusion, visual exclusion, and you are right there. And suddenly you start doing things that you would never do. You're like, maybe I should breathe different because this is a big deal. Or maybe how do I put what do I do? Like you
Yeah.
start screwing up, right? So you need a routine so
Hmm.
that you practice it so many times that not that you can't get it wrong, or not that you get it right, it's so that you can't get it wrong, right? Because
Yes. Yep.
when things become big and like scary like that, like you need to have ingrained good reps. Because if you haven't, you're always going to fall back on whatever you've done more of. And that's true for everything in life. And if you cheat on folding the laundry and doing the dishes and doing your homework or whatever the case is, like when things get serious, you're going to fall back to the weak little, your worst self is what you fall into
Yes.
when bad
100%.
stuff pops off. Right.
Well, it's
And
like
so,
what you said with the diet. It's like as soon as you go off, okay, but then when you start realizing that it didn't make that big a difference, then
yep,
it's easy. You're like, oh,
yep,
one more time doesn't matter, and it
yep.
does because it'll eventually. Now it's a hell of a lot harder to get going again.
Yeah, and it's an addiction, right?
Yep.
It's like drinking, right? Like I've struggled with drinking at times throughout my life, right? And like the reason why is because like one seems harmless, right? Just like missing
Yes.
one meal or one squat, right? But once you do one, two seems like a good idea, and then
Yep.
once you had two, three seems like it starts rolling the other way because momentum is
Hmm.
real, right? Like
Oh
for
yeah.
the
Yeah.
good and for the bad, right? We've both been
Yep.
there. Like how many times you've been locked in and you went for like 6 months straight and you're like, I am bulletproof. I am unstoppable. And then like Thanksgiving hit and you ate like 12 pies or whatever. And then suddenly like it's the new year and you're like, I've been eating like trash. I haven't been
For
working
six
out.
weeks. Yep.
And now it's a new year and I got to get back on track. And to
Hmm.
start it back over, to get that momentum back going is so hard because you've been sliding down that hill. You know what I mean? And so it's like,
Yeah.
it really, it comes down to your choice. And I say this all the time, but like the only difference between who you are now and who you're going to be 5 years from now come down to all little choice you make. Because every
Oh
single
yeah.
decision that you make from right now, this year, for the rest of your life, every single decision that you make is either moving you closer towards or further away from the man that you want to be. And that's the truth. Like that's a
Yeah.
hard thing, but
Yep.
people don't want to know that because they have control of their lives then. But the
Yes.
world moves out
Well,
of the way
that's
for
the
people who
thing.
know where they're going.
Yes, and that's the thing. Like I feel like there's a lot of people nowadays who they don't want to take the responsibility for, you know, taking control of your life and all that sort of
Yep.
stuff. One thing I was had another guest, and we were talking about stuff, and his opinion was that discipline and motivation and all that stuff was, you couldn't teach it, you couldn't learn it. It was just ingrained in you, and that was like you're almost born with it. And I slightly disagree. I think that these things can be taught, or at least they can be developed a little bit more. Do you feel like intensity and discipline and all that? Do you feel like it's a natural thing, or can you truly develop it from zero?
Well, I think, and I'm not disrespecting your guests, and I don't know who you're talking about, so I hope they
Yeah.
don't come hunt me down or anything, right? But like, I completely disagree, right?
Okay.
I mean, there's two mindsets, right? There's a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And a fixed mindset, for the most basic example, is like, I'm bad at math. And you know
Yeah.
what? If you think you're bad at math because a teacher when you were little, or your parents, or whoever told you you're bad at math, you're going to be bad at math because that's what you
Yeah.
believe, right? Now, granted, you might not be Einstein, right? You might not have all the gifts that the best mathematician in the world has, right? But like, you do have gifts and you can develop them. And like we just talked about, almost no
Hmm.
one reaches their potential because they don't put in the work, right?
Yeah.
And so like the same thing with like your mindset or discipline or toughness or whatever, like there's a reason why you can build a window of tolerance to the fear of snakes, to
Yeah.
like you can literally train your body to do whatever it wants if you control your mind, right? But like a growth mindset says, you know what, maybe I'm not where I want to be right now, but I'm going to push one rep further, one
Yeah.
step further, one whatever, because you know exactly as I do, like when things get really hard, right? Like in the gym, in life, in anything, there are times when you cannot look at it as a whole because it's overwhelming, and literally it it
Oh, dude.
it will
Yeah.
crush you, right? That's
Hmm.
life. That if if
Yeah.
if any listeners are not there yet, it's coming. Just wait, right? And when that happens, sometimes you need to break it down to like 1 day at a time, 1 hour at a
Yes.
time. Sometimes it's 1 minute at a time. Sometimes it's literally one breath. Like,
Yep.
I don't know how I'm gonna make it through this. Man, I got told that my mom had Parkinson's, right? And it was like a bucket of cold water got dumped down my back, and I was like, what a like immediately it was like, what does all this
Yeah.
mean? Right? And like that's not how you can that's not how winning is done. Winning is done
No.
one step at a time.
Hmm.
And so your workout, like if you look at like a set of 20 squats, like that can be very overwhelming, right? But you can't get 20 squats without doing one squat, right? So it's one squat at a time. So you might not be able to run a marathon, but you can run to the next mailbox or the next telephone pole,
Yes.
or
Hmm.
you know what I mean? And so it's like, if you can change your body, right, by adding a little bit of weight, by adding a little bit of distance, by adding a little bit of time or attention, stress, whatever, if you can change it like that, which we all know is very possible, you can do the
Hmm.
exact same thing with your mind. And the lifting is a great way to do it, because when you get a call like, hey, your mom has Parkinson's, that's a 600-pound bench in an instant,
Yeah.
right? Like you're dealing with it, right? You're trying to figure it out. But like when you're doing normal workouts, like that small incremental progress of like, let's put 2.5s on. Wow, I did that. I can't believe that. That's a new PR. It's a baby PR, right? Like you making those incremental steps forward. Eventually, small incremental steps are exactly how you reach a goal, because the only way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time, right?
Yep. Hmm.
The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So like you focus on the steps. You don't focus on the journey. You don't focus on destination. You pay attention to what you control. Because if you pay attention to anything else, you're going to be on an emotional roller coaster that
Yes.
you're worried
It's
about.
never going
You're
to
worried
stop.
about discipline
Yes.
and staying motivated and all those things. And
Hmm.
it's like, that's not what it's about. It's about literally staying in the moment and doing the next thing as best as you possibly can.
Well, and that's the thing. And I'm definitely guilty of this, especially like right now with like as you mentioned with kid coming along and all that sort of stuff. I get so like ahead of myself, and I start thinking about 3 years time, 4 years time, 5 years time, whatever, and then it's like, dude, chill the fuck out. Like, how about we just let's get him here first, and then
Right.
we can think about you know whatever it may be.
Right.
And it's like, like you said, it's the same as training. It's like, instead of sitting here just like looking at everything in this big world perspective, how about let's just look at whatever. Look at the day in general. And it's like I try and like get up and make a list.
Yep.
Check, 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 check. Or
Yep.
I do that for like, hey, here's my weekly tasks, and then I try and break it down
Yep.
into daily, especially with other things going on. And
Yep.
it's like, and it's something silly as that. Like we can achieve so much, but only if we allow ourselves.
Yes, because you're being intentional, right? If
Yes.
you're not intentional with your time, your money, and your calories, you're going to be broke, fat, and old before you know it, and you're not going to know where any of the time, money, or calories went,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, literally, there's some things that like you need to pay attention to. The same way that like if you want to know if you want to be good with money, you need a budget. You need to know how much
Yes.
actually goes out and how much comes
Mm-hmm.
in, right? Same exact thing with time. The people are like, man, I just don't. I never have time to like do that project or write that book or clean that closet. I'm like, do you have a list, right? Like, do you have things you want to accomplish every day that like are
Yes.
part of your priorities, the things you need to do, the things you want to do, the things that are good for you that feed back into your soul, like all of like if you do not have a list that you are all day long going
Mm-hmm.
through, then you are wasting a lot of time. Because you and I both opened up social media and 40 minutes later been like, holy crap,
40 minutes?
that's
Only
40
40
minutes.
minutes?
Right, right. But dude, if you took that same 40 minutes and you wanted to play guitar and you every time that you did that, you just picked up a guitar and messed with it for 40 minutes in a
Oh,
year,
God.
you'd be great at guitar. But
Yeah. Yeah.
instead, you get whatever the algorithm feeds you and you just got
Mm-hmm.
stupider, right?
Yeah. 100%.
Like that's exactly
Yeah.
what happens, right? But all of us collectively, I mean, there's some hermits and stuff that aren't part of this, but like whether it be sports, gambling, social media, whatever it is that you've picked this thing up and you get distracted, like that is taking away from everything that you want to be. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like
the
literally,
crazy thing is how short time, like how little time certain things take. Like there's times where I've put something off and put it off and put it off, and then I'm like, okay, I have to get this done, and I'll do it. I'm like, oh, it was a 15-minute exercise. I'm like,
yep,
what the fuck? Like this
right.
could have been done 3 days ago. It's
And
just
how long did
stupid.
that live rent free
Oh
in
my
your
god.
head? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Just all the time going, oh, and I got to do that. Oh, and I got to do that. And you're like, it was 15 minutes. Dude, that's a couple commercials. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I tell
Yep.
people whenever there's something that you don't want to do, like, and people can test this if they want to. Like, I'm sure everyone's got a junk drawer. Everyone's got like a closet or a
Mm-hmm.
garage. You got something that you literally don't look at because you're like, I don't even want to, right? But if you literally just take 10 minutes and you start, right? Motivation follows action. Action rarely follows motivation.
Yeah.
If you are waiting till you feel ready to do it, it's never going to happen,
Oh,
right?
no, no.
However, if you just start and you commit to 10 minutes, right? Like we said, it's a couple commercials, 10 minutes, right? Say 10 minutes. At the end of that 10 minutes, if you're like, this horrible, I hate it, I don't want to do it anymore, stop. You did
Mm-hmm.
10 minutes. That's all you agreed to. That's your 10 reps, right? However, most likely what's going to happen is after 10 minutes, you're going to be like, wasn't nearly as bad as I thought. I'll do a little more, right?
Yeah.
10 more minutes goes by. 10 more, now it's done. And you're like,
Mm-hmm.
holy crap. Like all that I needed to do was start with the right mindset. And
Yes.
now this is out of my life. Now I do not need to worry about that anymore. And if people would just do that instead of wasting their time, literally with like mental masturbation of like, let me see what's going on in the Kardashian, man. Like, I don't even know if Kardashians are still a thing, but like, you know what I'm saying?
They
Like,
are. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It shows how much like I'm into the world. You know what I mean? But literally, man, like everything that people want, like a truth that people don't want to hear is that literally you have all of the time for the things that you want to do, right?
100%. Yes. Yeah.
Because the things that you want to do,
You'll
if you're
figure it
real
out.
into
You'll
video
find the
games,
time.
you will find time to game.
Mhm.
If you're real into drinking, you will find time to drink, right? You just got to change what your passions are. You know what I mean?
Yes. Well, it's the same as like, I feel like conditioning is a massive part or a massive metaphor for life.
Yes.
Excuse me, you just got to eat the shit. It's like,
Yep.
like if you just look at it from a perspective of it's 20 minutes, it's whatever, I just got to get through it. Cool. You can get through that.
Yep.
But then if you like, going back to what we said previously, if you change your standards and you gas out there, eventually you're going to gas out in life as well, you
Yeah,
know?
it's truth.
And it's
It's
just,
truth. And what you're doing mentally during that, right? Because like I hate it when people are like, "Oh, it's easy for you. You love lifting." And I'm like, "No, I don't. I've been
yeah,
lifting for like 30 years. Of course I don't love it." Like the relationships change the same way that if you've been married to someone for 30 years, like, yeah, you might not feel like you did when you were in high school, right? But like the relationship changes, it matures,
yeah,
it turns into something
mhm,
else, right? And now it's like I can't live without lifting. Number one, because I'm like literally crippled, like my back is done if I don't lift for like 3 days and don't
yep,
abuse it. But number two, like it's just different, right? And like when like conditioning, like people are like, oh yeah, but like don't you like to suffer? And I'm like, no one likes to suffer. Everyone likes to
yeah,
sit on the
no,
couch, eat ice cream, and watch whatever
whatever,
TV you're into, right?
yeah,
Like that's what everyone wants to do. Everyone's hedonistic. Everyone wants the easy, smooth way. But like
hmm,
that's not how things are done. And if you people don't understand that the way you treat one thing is the way that you will literally treat everything, right? And
100%,
like I
yeah,
said earlier, like if you if you do a terrible job on the dishes, you're going to do a terrible job in conditioning because that's who you are. That is part of your characteristics, right?
yeah,
Like same thing if like you go outside and you're working in the yard and you do an awesome job and you're proud of yourself, I guarantee in the gym you're going to work really hard and you're going to do awesome and you're going to be proud of yourself.
well,
But
it's like cutting the
it's really
grass,
what you choose to do, right? Cuz every
hmm,
single decision moves you closer towards or further away from the man you want to be
yep,
or
couldn't
person,
agree with
right?
you more,
I know there
yeah.
are girls. No girls watch my channel, so I can say guys and men a little easier.
With talking of that from a perspective of keeping going and all that sort of stuff, um, building your channel presence, whatever you want to call it, I feel it relates to that drastically as well. I mean, I've had previous conversations as well. It's like it's the it's the delayed gratification. Like it's the posting without getting any interaction, any
Yep.
traction. It's not watering down the content you're putting out just to get a couple of likes. And I feel
Yep.
like that's a bigger thing these days as well. The social media side of stuff has really changed a lot of society, and
It
I feel like
has.
that's a big thing. And it's like, how did you, for anyone who's trying to sort of break into some of those um circles, I suppose, or realms, or whatever you want to call it, like, what's your advice to someone in that side of stuff where it's like, they're they're starting out in a fitness sort of influencer side of things, and they just want to keep going, but they also are looking for that instant, hey, you're doing a good job.
That's hard, right? Cuz like I never wanted to be on YouTube. I never wanted
Yeah,
to be like a I didn't that wasn't my game, right? Like
yeah,
uh that said, my life would look drastically different without YouTube, and YouTube has opened doors that I never would have walked through without it. I mean,
yeah,
the first time I met you was in Brian Saul's hotel room at the Arnold,
yeah,
right? Like that's the first time you and I met. And then
yep,
literally like 2 Arnolds later, I was eating breakfast with Arnold Schwarzenegger, a dude that like I used to watch at Pumping Iron. Like,
yeah,
and none of that was possible without YouTube, right? So
mhm,
like I'm so thankful, so grateful for it. That said, it was never part of my plans and it was never something that I wanted to do, right? But I was doing this counterterrorism job for the government, decided I didn't want to do that anymore because wasn't happy. Um, and literally just kind of quit, right? Like dropped my retirement, dropped my everything got taken away, right? And I was like, you know what? I have this passion about lifting. I got a passion about coaching, teaching. That's what I'm gonna do, right?
mhm,
And so I literally quit and decided to drive some equipment, spent all my savings on some equipment, and would literally drive it out to the middle of a field and have like 5 people show up for like a field workout. And that's how my gym Never State started, right? From there, we ended up building and stuff like that. But what happened was I would be spending time. A new person would come in, like not a lot of new people were coming in. And so like number one, the best way to advertise anything right now is on social media, right? Because
oh
we don't
yeah,
go to
yeah,
phone books, you don't
mm-mm,
you go to social media, right? Like
yeah,
that's where it leads you, right? And so I was like, I know I need to do some videos for like advertising and things like that. But secondly, like I would have a new person come in and I had to spend all day teaching them the basics of the squat about like breathing and
Yeah.
bracing, like what to do with their hips, what do they, like all these things. And all my other athletes would get neglected. And then some of those people kind of weren't like leaving, but you could tell they were like, I don't get coached. Only new people get
Yeah.
coached. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so I was like, well, I'm going to make videos about the basics of the squat with like all the vernacular, all the cues, all the, so that I could literally turn to a new person and be like, watch this video. We're doing squats Friday. Be ready to
Yes.
go because I'm going, like, it was like a force multiplier, right?
Yep.
And so that's how YouTube really started. And prior to that, I was doing YouTube back when there was T Nation. Some people might
Oh
remember
man.
T
Yeah.
Nation, like
Yep.
back in the day, right? I was a dude named Alpha back when Alpha didn't mean what it means. That like my name was Alpha as like my username because I was doing counterterrorism, and I would keep my training log on there, and I was literally one of the most followed individuals on the entire thing. But I wouldn't do anything but keep my training log, and every once in a while I'd preach kind of like a little rant about like
Mm.
the softness of the world and how we need like same stuff I'm saying now, right?
Yep.
And it got this huge following. But then there were a bunch of people kind of being like, you can't do that. No one can do that. You're not front squatting this or doing this with your conditioning and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And I was like, all right, I'll show you. So back then cameras weren't on phones. And so I had to get a little digital camera and like be a douchebag in the gym. Cause back then you
Yep.
did not record yourself in the gym. Like you sucked if you right.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like in a Gold's gym and would hit record and I take my hat and I put it like this so no one can see my face. I do my lift. I turn around and be like, boop, before I understood editing or anything, right? And so that were all my videos, and no one cared, man. No one cared at all. I probably had like 300 followers from T Nation just would watch my lifts, but that's how it started. And it wasn't until I actually turned the camera on myself and was no longer doing a counterterrorism job so I could show my face and
Yeah.
started teaching and offering people something that got a little more traction. And then I'd say I probably got up to like 1,500, 2,000 people. And like now I'm in thousands. And like back then, having 1,000 followers, a huge, you could monetize at 1,000, you know? And so all that kept going on. But honestly, man, I was not making much growth. And this went on for about a year and a half. And this is what people don't understand, right? People think like they see someone, they're like, he's an overnight success, right? There is no such thing
No.
as an overnight success, man. An overnight success takes a decade of
Yes.
work and sleepless nights that no one saw, right? That no one's willing to do. And that's why they're successful. And so for a year and a half, I was making videos, 2 to 3 videos a week. And every single video took me 12 hours to do because the recording, the storybooking, the editing, like I was really bad at it. You know what I mean? So literally I'm spending 36 hours a week just on YouTube, plus full-time work, starting a business. And anyone who started a business knows that you're working 50, 60 hours a week on the business,
Yes.
right? Add an extra full-time 36-hour, 40-hour week job on top of that. Like I was working, right? I didn't see my family. I didn't talk to people. Christmas was like, hey, thanks for the presents. I gotta go make a video, right? Like that's how it was for a couple years. And it was all thankless because no one was watching. I get 300 views on a video that
Yeah.
literally I spent 12 hours on, and that was like getting kicked in the nuts. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
that
yeah.
sucked.
Mhm.
So one day I'm watching like the people that like I respect and trying to like see what they're doing on their YouTube channels because, you know, trying to figure it out. And Alan Thrall one day did a Q&A and I reached out and was like, hey man, like, how do you get more followers? Because I can't buy followers. You know what I mean? Like I can't figure this out. And he talked about like offering people something and that was his advice. But at the end of it, he said, oh yeah, man. And I saw you almost kill yourself on a 315 bench. That was hilarious. And moved on to the next question. And I was like, really cool that this dude that like I kind of look up to just answered my question, but that wasn't me. Cause at the time I was benching over 500 pounds and I was like, I didn't almost kill myself at 315. Like you're not talking about me. And so I wrote him and I was like, thank you so much for the answer, blah, but you weren't talking about me. That was somebody else. He writes me back and he's like, man, you're right. I was talking about somebody else. He's like, but I checked out your stuff. I really like it. Would you make a video for my channel? Like, I think it'll be great exposure for you. And I'm like, yeah, that's like the biggest, I've been waiting for this opportunity, right?
Mhm.
And so for that video, I chose to give out, I wrote a program, explained it all, how to lay it out, everything, and gave it to him. And he's like, are you sure you want this to be the video? He's like, you could literally write this and you'll make $30,000 this year. He's like, you don't want to use, and I was like, do it. Like take it. Just
Yeah.
I'm looking for exposure, right? So he did that, and people liked me. And so then, literally, it was like a dream, man. I got home from coaching at the gym that night, and my follower count went from like 1,500, 2,000, and suddenly it was like 5,000. And then I woke up the next day, it was like 10,000, and then like 15,000, and then it slowly started growing, right? Like it wasn't that big of jumps the whole way, but it just slowly started growing, right? That was
Yep.
kind of like my first chance. But and I know I said this to you before, but like for all of you who are out there trying to do your YouTube thing, get your big break, like, oh, I'm gonna get on Rogan and suddenly I'm gonna have 1 million followers. Or like, number one, that doesn't happen, right? Like you can be on the biggest podcast in the world, you're not gaining a whole lot of people. That's not how it works, right? But the thing is that if you go somewhere, like if somebody here has never heard of me before and they go check me out, like I have 1,000 videos, right? Like I have a
Yeah.
library where you can look through. But if I have like 3 videos, people literally go to your social media channel and are like, he's not ready. He's not cooked yet. Like,
Hmm.
I'll see you later. I'll check back a couple years, right? So,
Yep.
like, if you are trying to do this, you need to build a library about the things that you are passionate about and just make the videos for making the video's sake, right? Like, you are giving out free information, you're sharing,
Mhm.
you're helping the world. Good for you, right? If it pays off, awesome. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But, like, the funny thing is, like, again, I don't have any money at this point. It's all in the gym. I quit my real job. Like, we're struggling, right? And like real money stress is going on.
Hmm.
And so once the Allen thing happened, it kind of went good. I was like, I got to double down on this. So I wrote him, was like, hey man, can I fly out? Because he lives in Sacramento. I live in Maryland, opposite sides of the nation. And so I was like, hey man, can I fly out there and do some videos with you? And he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. If you get out here, we'll do some videos. So I literally, I bought a plane ticket, stayed in La Quinta. There were gunshots outside, literally gunshots one night. Um, and so while I'm doing this, during that time, he actually got on Mark Bell's Powercast at the time.
Okay.
And he's like, hey man, you want to come along? And I'm like, yeah. So I went with him on a Mark Bell's Powercast, then introduced me to that group. And then like
Hmm.
that's how it slowly started opening up. You know what I mean? But none of it would have happened if there was not a year and a half to 2 years of just thankless,
Yes.
horrible work, right? For that you didn't know it was going to pay off, right? But every single business owner who has ever done business, and I can't handle a boss, man. The only time I've had a boss other than my dad, right, was the government. Those are my two bosses, was my dad and the government. Couldn't have too much worse bosses, right? The rest of the time, I was like, I am not going to have a boss. So literally since I was 18, I've owned businesses my whole life. And anyone who's ever owned a business is going to tell you, like, you're working and I mean you're hoping, you're praying, you're
Yes.
doing everything you can to make it happen, but like
Hmm.
you can't focus on that. If you focus on like, am I where I want to be, or have I lost that weight, or have I got that PR? Like if you focus on that, it that's not how winning's done, right? Like you
Yeah.
literally need
No.
to go back and be like, how many hours have you spent in the gym? How many days have you eaten clean?
Hmm.
How many
Hmm.
hours have you spent on this business? How many? Because those hours will take care of the other stuff, right?
Yes.
Like your intentional time and investing in that and tracking that will keep you moving forward because your brain likes dopamine, right? And every single time
Hmm.
that your brain registers for progress, you get a dopamine hit and it's like, let's go again. But your brain doesn't care about destinations. That's why like everyone is always like, I'll be happy when I get that job, when I get that house, when I get that
No.
girl, when I get that PR, that
No.
whatever, right? And they get it. And what happens? They're happy for a very short time and then they drop
Yeah.
right back to whatever
Hmm.
miserable set they are, right? And that's because literally your brain's like, I don't care. What does 405 mean to me? Like, I want 410 now. Let's go.
Yes.
Like, right? And so if you focus on what you can control instead of what you can't control, which is the subscribers, the weight you're losing, the
Hmm.
destination, the all that stuff, you can't really control whether people walk through your door or not. Like you can trend in that direction, right? But
Yeah.
like if you're trying to lose 50 pounds and you're jumping on a scale every day, you are going to go through a emotional roller coaster
Hmm.
that you do not need to go to. If you just focused on how many days you ate clean and how many good workouts and you just kept track of that, the weight's going to take care of itself. Guaranteed, right? You do the right things, good things are going to happen. But if you focus on like, why aren't I there yet? Why like that's
Yes.
not how that is only going to discourage you.
Was there times that you wanted to like compromise what you were doing from a perspective of like, oh, if I did it this way, it might be a little easier, and you just refused to? Because I feel like that's another thing that people like. with anything in life, it's like, oh, if I just change, maybe I take this little shortcut, it'll be a little easier. But the reality is that, if you just stick to where you're at, the destination will actually be sweeter.
Yeah, and
Is there certain things that you don't that you're like dead set, like I will not compromise on X?
even editing, for instance, right? Like the number of people who've been like, "Hey, man, I'll edit your videos. I won't even charge unless you start making more money." And I'm like, that it's my voice, my
Yeah.
name. Brian Alsruhe is my YouTube channel, and I'm going to be Brian Alsruhe long after this YouTube channel. I'm not doing like it's dead or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah.
it also stupid things like when I was doing my YouTube, like my nieces were little, right? And so I never swore. I never swore on my videos. And I mean, you know me, like I swear plenty, right? Like I got plenty of things to say, right? But like I never did it on the channel because I was like, a lot of people at the time, back in like the golden age of YouTube fitness, when it was like Elliot Hulse and like the, you know what I mean? When it was those guys, like it was like a thing to say the most outrageous thing you possibly could, or like, you know what I mean? And then it became like, oh, well, now you need like a chick's butt in your thumbnail. That'll get you views. And then it became like, and then it was like clickbait titles and all those things. And I never gave into those things because I was like, it's going to hurt your integrity. Even like when I got a sponsor and like would like be like, yeah, man, like doing the sandbags, right? Like I would do a sandbag video and people were like, you're such a sellout. I'm like, I'm going to use the sandbags anyway. Like, how am I a sellout? Like, I'm just, and it's really funny how the world looks at like what you do, but like there definitely were things that even to this day when people are like, hey, you should have a team that does all of your stuff for you, or using AI to like come up with ideas and stuff like that. And I love AI as like a force multiplier and like throwing ideas back and forth. But like, if you use AI for your creativity, you will not be creative anymore. Like,
no, 100%.
You need to have the creativity and bounce the ideas off of, right? Like, but if you were taking that shortcut of like, well, what's a popular way to make videos right now? And that's how you're getting your stuff. That well is going to run dry, right? Like you need to be going, if I was watching this channel, what would I want to know about? Like if I was starting out squats from the beginning, what do I need to know? Right. And that like, just make the videos that like are needed. It's just like, man, necessity is the mother of invention, right? And so like, when you think about that, also another thing before I go on that tangent, like a lot of people think I have nothing to say that hasn't been said already, right? Like a lot of people think that. And I mean, it's true. Like no one's saying anything new. Like we've talked about this. Like you, me, Dave Tate, Mark Bell, Alan Thor, any name that I name is going to say pretty much the same thing about the squat, the bench, the deadlift, because there's a correct way and there's an incorrect way, right? And like, sure, maybe every once in a while someone will figure something out that kind of works better or whatever, but like for the most part, especially in strongman, because strongman's all about like, how can we shorten this range of motion, cut this corner, do this thing to shorten that time? Like that's strongman, right? If you're not cheating, you're not trying, it's strongman, right?
100%. Yeah.
But like when it comes down to the other stuff, like it's so important. I lost it. I don't know where I was going, but yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm really gone, man. Completely gone.
Basically, I'm assuming it was going down the line that even if someone's got the same thing to say, the way you say it and all that sort of stuff changes the message.
Yep, 100%. Because you and I can both look at somebody and say, you're a wonderful person. I hope you have a great day, right? And when you say that, they might be like, that made me feel so happy. That made me feel great. And when I say it, they might be like, I want to punch your face. Because there's just something about your face that I want to punch, right? And so like literally same thing's true for squats. Like you teach someone to squat and they might be like a sponge. They might be like, this makes so much sense. I can say the exact same words. And someone be like, I don't get it. It's not coming through, right? We all had teachers, right? Like think about your math teacher, right? Like some math teachers taught you great and you were like, holy crap, I understand math. And other math teachers, you were like, this could be Swahili. I have no idea where we're at, right? And the same thing, right? Like everyone needs to hear it in a different sort of way. And literally, as long as you don't try to mimic someone else's style, their voice, what they're doing, Like you need to be original to you. You just need to be yourself. Because if you're trying to be anybody else, the internet will sniff that out and you will not go anywhere. You will literally just get buried. You're nothing, right? And so like you got to be yourself and you got to say what you want to say and like if they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. But like pretending and trying to be something like
Yeah.
the internet's too smart, man. As stupid as the internet is way too smart.
Well, it's like I feel like it's similar to like changing approaches to training as you get older. Like the way you
Yep.
train in your 30s ain't the way you trained in your 20s. And
No.
it's letting go of that ego almost to evolve into that higher self or whatever you want to call it, like
Yeah.
that's the only way to actually get anywhere. And the whole thing of um what you said previously about like I don't have anything to say or anything to offer, and I think it comes down to the same thing as like I've definitely dealt with it where it's a case of um oh well that's bait, like talking about strongman stuff. Well, that's common sense. No,
Right.
like you've done it for
It's not.
so long that it's natural, it's common sense to
Yeah.
you,
To
but to
you.
someone who's just starting,
Right.
it's not common sense even remotely.
No. Like think about picking up a sandbag or an atlas stone. Like
Yes.
the very first thing you do, you're like, well, I find the middle of the stone or the middle of the sandbag because if I lift off the middle, it's gonna roll. I'm not right. Like you don't think about that. That's not the first thing you think about. But like if you're teaching someone brand new, like you need to explain that, right? Otherwise, it's not gonna work well. Like, and the interesting thing is when you actually start taking something as complex as like a squat, right? Like
Yeah.
even though a squat seems like a basic movement, like there are the difference between like a world record squat and like what you will see at Planet Fitness if people squat at Planet Fitness is so drastically different, right? It is literally a different animal, a different species,
Yes.
right?
Hmm.
And but if you're able to take something like a world record squat and like break that down and something that complicated and break it down into simple enough terms that you can explain it to a beginner, then you truly understand it, right? Like you've had to go through all those iterations. And I cannot tell you how much better of a lifter I am because I had to look at everything that I could do as an
Hmm.
athlete and be like, how do I do this? I don't know how to do this.
Yes.
I get amped up. I pick it up and I move with it. That's what I do, right? But like when you actually like, what am I doing with my feet? What do I do with my hips?
Yeah.
What do I do with
Hmm.
my back? Where am I engaging? What am I doing? Right? You start doing that stuff and like you become a better lifter just because you shared
Yeah.
it, you know?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I can't remember who said it, but it's exactly what you said. Like, you don't understand something if you cannot break it down into its simplest form.
Yep.
That's really, I feel like, again, like the story of life. Like, if you actually get it, you can tell. You should be able to explain something to an alien if you truly get it.
Yep.
If you don't, then you're just going to confuse the shit out of them.
Yep. And that's the truth.
And that's exactly with lifting. It's so funny, like when you brought up like finding the middle of the stone and stuff. Like when I was taught to lift stones, it would literally be like you put your hands together. Oops, I just hit the mic. Put your hands together, and here, and then you spread it, and then you go round. That's your center point, center, and then round. And it's like, oh, that actually makes sense.
Right.
Excuse me. But you
But
see,
if
and
if
then
you if you first your first day lifting stones, you're on the ground trying to like hug it, like you know what I mean?
yep,
Like
or
people
you
don't get
cup
it,
it and all this sort of stuff, and it's like that. It's like
Yeah.
by learning these basics, that's what you go back to when like the shit hits the fan. Like, you're in a show and you're tired, or this or that, or it's not becoming the way you want it to, or it is
Right.
rolling on you. It rolls on you like, well, hey, let's chill for a second.
Yeah.
What's the basis? Okay, let's split it in half. Spread your fingers wide. Get that big center of contact or contact point, and it'll come. Versus getting under and scooping and then putting it all on biceps, and then hey, the next thing you know, your biceps popped.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the real thing. I mean, people don't understand how much like your brain actually plays in this game, like as far as sympathetic, because when I say sympathetic, that's your fight or flight, right?
Yeah.
It's for everyone who doesn't know, that's your fight or
Yep.
flight system, and everyone knows fight, flight, freeze, fawn, right?
Hmm.
But the second that system kicks in, your prefrontal cortex, your logical brain, your thinking, decision making brain turns off, right? That's
Yes.
exactly why, like, if you're driving your car and you almost get in an accident, while you're maneuvering through that situation, you're not like, what am I going to eat later? What should I
Yeah.
watch on
Yeah.
TV? You don't have logical thoughts. You are
Yeah.
right there and you can't think of anything but that, right? You're stuck, basically mentally
Hmm.
stuck. And like, same thing with like a stone, right? Like, you're doing a stone over bar event, like as many reps possible in 60 seconds, and you mess it up, like immediately your brain goes out the window, right? Like
Hmm.
immediately, this isn't how it's supposed to go. I messed it. I don't have time. I did like a million thoughts going through, none of which are helpful, right? Like
No.
literally, you need to interrupt that psychology, get back to the biology, and fix it, right? Or even when somebody's like, 7 seconds left, go. Like you're not thinking about your cues. You are going to fall back to what you have practiced the
Yes.
most. And every single rep that you do is either ingraining a good rep or a bad rep. And whatever you do
Yes.
more of is what's going to happen when things get heavy, hard, or serious, right? And
Well, I
that's
think,
true for everything in life.
yeah, and like visualization, that was a big thing I did when I was competing. And
Yep.
I remember, like, like we got told the events for Scotland's Strongest Man, and I want to say it was like 4, 5, 6 months out. And literally every night, and from when they were announced until the show, I would play it in my head. I would
Yeah.
lay in bed and I would play these things. I'm like, okay, loading medley. We've got 2 kegs and 2 sandbags. What's the worst that can happen? And I would play every single fucking scenario out in my
Yep.
head to the point where it's like, okay, if you drop this, how fast can you recoup it and you
Right.
repick it, get it back and get in your flow again? Same as a deadlift, a log press, whatever it may be. Like, what's the flow? Because that's the important part.
Yeah. Because really, like you're making sure that it's not the first time that you've been in that situation.
Hmm.
Same way that samurai
Yeah.
used to like meditate upon their death every single day. Like when things get serious, you don't want to be there in that the first time you've been in a situation and be like, oh no, because that's what your body's gonna do. It's gonna
Yes.
fight, flight, freeze, or oh no, right? Like,
Yep.
and
Yep.
that's not what can happen. But if you've already been there in your head, man, they like I said, I come from that background of like counterterrorism stuff, and that's kind of where I started learning about all this autonomic nervous system stuff. Because like,
Mm.
if you carry a gun, right? You never put your gun or your mags in like different places. It's always in the
Yeah.
same place because if a bullet flies at you, your brain's not going, "Where's my stuff?" Right? You are
Yes.
reacting. You are doing what you have trained. And they
Hmm.
it was interesting. They did a study. They kept finding back in the day when like police officers carried revolvers, like the six shooting like revolvers, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Uh, they did a study because so many police officers, after they got in gunfights, were found dead with shells, like like empty casings in their pocket, right? And they're like, why would you ever put shells in your pocket when you're in the middle of a gunfight? And then they looked at their training. And what they did is back in the day when they were at the range, they would shoot their 6 shots, they would empty the shells in their hand and put it in their pocket because they didn't want to bend over and pick up the shells. So when they got in a
Oh.
gunfight, they didn't rise to the occasion like everyone does in the movies and they're
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
suddenly you're awesome. That doesn't happen, right?
No. 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 No.
Like,
No.
so literally what they did was they got in a gunfight, they ran out of bullets. They instead of returning fire, they took those shells, put them in their pocket while they're dying, right? Like
Shit.
it literally is what you have practiced because
Yep.
every single decision you make from your 7 out of 10 deadlift to your whatever, like what
Hmm.
every single decision you make is either moving you close towards or further away from the person that you want to be. And that's
Yep.
the truth, right? And it matters every single day how you brush your teeth, how you make your bed, how you lift the weights, how you treat your daughter, how you
Hmm.
interact with your wife. Like if you've had a bad day at work, before you walk through the door, stop. Take a deep diaphragmatic breath like you're going to deadlift, right? Like deep breath, let it out slowly. Relax your jaw, relax your traps. Because as dudes, that's two places we like just
Yeah.
let it out. And then ask yourself, when I walk through this door, I can either be the angry dad, right? Like you're getting ready to
Yep.
have a kid. Like, do you want to be
Hmm.
the dad that walks to the door and the kid's like, daddy, daddy, daddy? Or do you want to be the other dad, right? That like
Yeah.
the kid's like, oh no, dad's home. He's always mad. He's going to yell. Like, so before you walk through that door, use your biology
Hmm.
to change your psychology and then say, who do I want to be? I'm going to walk through this door. The look on my face, my body language, my tone, what I say, how I react to whatever I'm going to walk into right now is going to either move me closer towards or
Hmm.
further away from the man that I want to be.
And I mean, I'm definitely guilty of that, and that's one thing. Like,
We're all guilty of that, bro.
I'm lucky at times where, like, that's why I have like an hour drive from the office to the house now. So,
Yep.
like, if it's been a really shitty day, I sometimes, I mean, most of the time I'll listen to music. Other
Yep.
times, nope. It's silence. I
Yep.
typically have my dog with me. He's not today, but like normally I do, and he's sitting
Yeah.
just right next to me. And I will
Yeah.
drive home with my hand on him, and that's it. And I
And
will
you're
chill.
decompressing.
I'll try to decompress as best I can.
Yeah.
And there's times where I'll discuss it and I'll like sort of decompress with my wife. But I think it's very much like if you've got a relationship problem, you like talking to your friends about it. Yeah, okay, it's good for you. The
Right.
problem with that though is that they don't then like when you and your wife figure it out. You and you and your husband, your boyfriend, whatever it may be. You and the other person figure it out. The friend group or whoever it is you're talking to about it doesn't get that resolution. So they still
Yeah.
have that shitty feeling. So
Yeah.
that's one thing. Like I try to figure out my own. And I'm probably guilty of holding more in, which is then puts it more on me and it sort of throws my
Yeah.
head off. But it's like if I keep it inside and I work on this the solution and the resolution myself, then I don't have to put it on my wife. She doesn't have to then sit and think about it and stress about it and whatever. And it's a better situation there. So like I try and not do that. But sometimes, I'll discuss it with her. But then the thing I really try to do is if I then once I've found this the solution, I share it. So then now she has that too.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I'm very much trying to do, especially coming into this fatherhood side of stuff, where it's like yeah, like I want to be the dad that gets home and the kids, excited as all hell
Yeah.
and all that sort of stuff. Because I think it's important. I mean, we've like sure you're going to slip and you're going to come home in a pissy mood here and there. I mean, we're fucking human. What do people expect?
Right.
But it's like you said, it's the sum of everything, and
Yeah.
that's the important part of it. I think.
Yeah. It's really true. And it's so funny because like as dudes, like we hold things in, right? Like
Oh
we're
yeah.
like, that's not
Hmm.
worth the reaction. So I'm gonna tuck it away here, right? And that's fine. But like I would not have a job if that worked, right?
Yeah.
Because like literally that's what people talk to me and they're like, dude, and we talk about it, and then it like the second that you release something, it kind of loses power, right? Like you're like, that's
Yes.
not as big
Yep.
as not as big a deal as it was, right? So sometimes just get it out, and like a therapist or like a coach or whatever is like they're a good person to be like, I'm just holding space for you, man. Like I understand,
Hmm.
like because like if you heard what I heard on a daily basis from like people, you'd be like, holy crap, I am
Yeah.
awesome compared to like what's going on in that person. And so it's like just getting it out sometimes is enough. But another thing that I've been doing recently that has really helped me is a shutdown ritual after work, right? In
Mm.
that like, and a lot of people you can use it for a lot of things, shut down at the end of the day, shut down whatever, but like before you leave work or before work's done, like, and this can be different for everybody, but like I clear out my inbox and make sure there's no like loose ends.
Yeah.
If like there's something on my list that like was supposed to get done today and it didn't, I make sure I have a plan for where that's
Hmm.
going to go.
Hmm.
Like, is that going to get done tomorrow? Do I need to push that Thursday? Or do I need to put it over here where I'm going to see it so it doesn't get forgotten? Right. Like,
Yes.
but I have plan for those things. You go through like kind of cleaning up your day and
Hmm.
getting everything out of the way. And then you verbally, literally out loud, it seems very woo woo, very therapy, right? But like you verbally out loud say a phrase. And my phrase comes back from my work with my dad days, right? When I was just like, can we please go home? Please, can the day be over? Can the day be over, right? And when the work was finally done, my dad would say every single day, he would say, all right, that's enough for today, right? And as soon as he said
Mm.
that, it was like a celebration went off my head. I'm like, we're
Yeah.
packing up the truck and we're going home. So literally, after I get everything done for work, I will verbally say, that's enough for today, right? And saying something verbally out loud literally changes your brain the same way that like you'll say something out loud to yourself before like a big deadlift, right? Like a lot of people
Yeah.
have a,
Yep.
a cue, right? Like you say something and that switches it. Your brain, but you need to say inside your brain isn't as powerful as putting it out in the world, right?
Yep.
So when you say that, when I say that's enough for today, it is a cue for my brain to say we can leave work behind, right? Like we can start moving
Yeah.
on from that. We can still put plenty of effort into the family, into if we're going out with friends, or there's still plenty of effort, but I no longer need to compete for attention with stuff that's
Yes.
still bouncing around my head from work, right? Because literally, you mentally, emotionally, everything close that door. Now, I'm
Yep.
not saying stuff's not going to pop up, right? But like for most people, it is so much easier to like get away from work and leave it at work if you literally do
Hmm.
a shutdown ritual and then close that door, verbally say it, and then you can move on. And man, that has made such a difference for me. So, like, if anyone's out there struggling, bringing work home, bringing negativity wherever they're going, like, literally, like, close it off. Like, do what you can, control what you can, and then shut that door. Verbally say something, shut that door, and move on with your day. The same way that, like, if you were a quarterback and you threw an interception, like, that can go a lot of different ways, right? But one thing's for sure, if you keep going, like, man, I messed up. Blah, blah, blah. Like if you stay in that mindset, or like it's competing further in the game, and you're like, I messed up my whatever streak, my throwing streak, whatever. Like
Yep.
if you're thinking that, you're guaranteed to screw up again. Guaranteed,
Oh,
right?
dude.
The only way is to leave that stuff behind you and move forward, right? Like doesn't mean that's gone. You gotta fix things, right?
Yes.
But like if you cannot leave that behind and drive forward, like performance psychology, like we've all messed up in a strongman competition. Like if you mess up in the first event, that can carry the rest of your event, or
I
it can
was
just be a mess up.
literally going to say that. Like I've known guys who should have destroyed shows, and they'd screw up something minor. Okay, hey, I didn't win the first event, or I got second, or I got third, whatever. But they had the tools to finish the show and have that consistent performance to win overall.
Yeah.
And they would completely ruin the whole show because they'd be stuck on that. I remember doing a show back in the UK before I moved, and I think I won the first event, or maybe I got second. I can't remember, but I screwed up the block press. That was like I think that was the second event, and I was like, fuck, and I got like way down the pack, fifth,
Yeah.
sixth, and I was like, ah, fuck. And then I did the math, and I was like, okay, if you win every event, and even if this guy gets second, you can still win the entire show.
Yeah.
And from then, I was like, okay, we're going to win every fucking event.
Yeah.
And I did. And I just completely changed my mindset. And I was like, you are winning this event. And it's that whole thing, success breeds success.
Yeah.
So I won event 3.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, cool. And then like one of them was a card deadlift hold. I was like, you just have to keep going. You just
Right.
have like, I'm pretty sure it was I want to say they had 2 cards, maybe they didn't, but I remember being in other competitions where it's like you just have to hold on until you hear that one go down.
Yep.
When you hear him drop, you can stop,
Yep.
and that's what it was. It was like just keep it going, just dissociate, find something to dissociate. I just saw a thing with Mark Felix, and there was Eddie and him on Eddie's podcast, and Eddie was like, "Well, what do you think about?" Like when you're doing the Hercules hold and you're trying to break that world record, what are you thinking about? He goes, nothing. Literally nothing. I'm not thinking about, a happy place. I'm listening to my breathing and nothing else.
Yeah.
You know?
Focusing on that next mailbox, that's all he's doing. Like
Yep.
just stay there a little longer, a little
Focus on that
longer.
next breath and that's it.
Yep. And that's the game, because that's how winning is won.
Yep.
Yeah, like we said, like in life, in strongman, in business, in YouTube, in anything, it's literally about your next step and doing it as
Yep.
best you can. And we both know, like, destinations are great, goals are awesome, and you should always have them. You should be always moving towards them. Don't get me wrong, that's very important, right? But like, if you cannot enjoy the journey, like you are never going to enjoy the destination, right? Like
Yeah.
you literally have to get to the point where it is so important for you, like, like at the end of a day, if you have literally lived like intentionally and really put your most into that day, you go to bed feeling awesome. You're like, I
Oh
did it
yeah.
today.
Yeah.
Like I did it today, right? And you feel great. no matter what you did or did not accomplish, you feel great because you put the work in, right?
Hmm.
Have more days like that, you'll be happier, and the destinations will just start stacking. Because like a person living intentionally every single day as best they can, like it's like bricks in a wall, right? Like every good decision that you make, like I'm saying the whole thing, every good decision you make is like a brick in a wall. And like 5 good decisions, 5 bricks doesn't look like much, right? 5 months of bricks can change your
Yes.
life. A year of bricks completely transforms everything.
Hmm.
And then literally, if you keep doing it, like in 5 years, you can build a life that you never, ever imagined
Yeah.
would have been possible. Like me with YouTube, right? Like I started out with like 300 views, right? 5 years later, I was getting 50,000 views, right? Like
Yeah.
that would not have happened if I was so focused there instead of just being like, every day, do the work, make the videos, do the
Yep.
content, figure it out, do the research, like all those
Hmm.
things. Like, and doing that every single day, I would go to bed every day going, you know what? You're not where you want to be. You haven't achieved what you want to achieve. Like, who cares? You took a good step towards it today.
Hmm.
And
Well,
that's
it's the
all
same as
that's what you focus on.
well, it's like balance. Like everyone wants to have this balance of life. And sure, there's times where you can try and get there and all that sort of stuff. But I had a really good conversation with Dave Tate once, and I asked him that. I was like, "How do you balance it all? Like, how do you balance training? How do you balance elite? How do you balance family?" He goes, "You don't. There's no such thing as balance. You give your all and your undivided focus to the thing that you're doing at that point in time. If that's work,
Yep.
then you're focused on work. If it's family time, you're focused on family." And I really like the thing that you do with that shutdown like procedure. I really like that because it's like now it's like I'm allowing myself to be, especially if you've got your own business, and I know people who, I feel like it's probably a hell of a lot easier um if you have a quote unquote regular job,
Yeah.
um like to leave it behind.
Yeah.
But as a business owner, it's like that constant, well, I can do more and I can do more and I can do more. And sure you can. But the thing that I learned quite a long time ago was that yes, I can do more, but there's a certain point that doing more is just being busy. It's not being productive.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's the other side of it as well, is like trying to figure out that point where it's like, okay, that's enough for today because now I'm not being productive. I'm just sitting here spinning my wheels, not really getting anywhere. And it's like, especially in a sales based business or if it's YouTube and waiting for people to interact and all that sort of stuff, like you sitting there and staring at the computer screen, waiting for an email to come through to answer or waiting for a comment on YouTube to come in or Instagram or whatever it may be, what's you're not doing anything. Like go cut the grass, you
Yep.
know. And that's the thing. Like I'm struggling so much right now. And I'm like I love winter. I love the snowboard and all that sort of stuff. It's getting really old to get up in the morning and it's 25 degrees out, and I'm like, okay, like if I lived on a mountain, no problem. I would do my,
Right.
however what my hours are for work in the morning. I go ride every day. But because I have to drive somewhere and I can't do it, it's like, man, I just wish, like, it would be really nice to have a little bit of sun. And I'm really looking
Yeah.
forward to summer, which is I don't really typically say. I'm like, I'm
Right.
looking forward to where it's sunny and I can go out and I can cut the grass or I can do my tomatoes or I can do whatever,
Yep.
you know.
It's
And
true, man.
it's breaking that routine.
But man, when people talk about balance, like I always kind of laugh. I'm like, I don't like you gotta have some balance, right? In that,
Yeah,
like, it's like oxygen mask on a plane, right? Like they tell you got to put your oxygen mask on before somebody else because if you're not taking care of yourself, then you
yeah,
can't help anybody else, right? Like you can't pour from an empty cup. That said, like I don't know anyone that's like truly balanced that like
no,
is killing it, right?
yeah, yeah,
Like it really comes down. Like Dave Tate's thing is like blast and dust, right? Like you
yeah,
blast, like you go until you're not, and then you don't, right? And like
yeah,
there's problems with that as well, but like it is definitely most people, like you said, even with doing lists, most people are accomplishing so much less than they are capable of.
hmm,
And they're not putting the work in because their time and energy and effort is being wasted on stupid crap
yeah,
instead of doing the things that they're actually passionate about. And like, this is all just distraction. It's all just
yeah,
distraction. Every time you open your computer, how hard is it to not check your email and then check your work email and then be like, look, somebody wrote something on Facebook. Let me get through that comment. Let me see what is going on. Like, and before you know it, you've been you've been sitting in front of your computer for an hour and you haven't done anything, right?
Yeah,
But
100%.
again, if that hour was spent writing that book that you always say you
Hmm.
would write if you had the time, or playing the guitar, or learning another language, right? Like you could literally learn another language in a year if you spent 40 minutes every day working
Yeah.
at it. That's more than you
Yep.
do in a college class, right?
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
could do it, right?
Hmm.
But we don't, right? Because it's hard and that time needs to be intentional. But like, man, it if you do not figure out how to manage your time, like I said earlier, you are never going to happen to life. Life is always going to happen to you, right?
Hmm.
Because you are always going to feel like you don't have enough time, you don't have enough money, like I can't get the diet to work, and it's like you're not living intentionally. You're letting things
Yeah.
happen to you that you are 100% in control of. But we live in a world where like saying that you can control something, people don't want to hear that, right? Like everyone wants to be a victim. Like I
Yep.
can't because I have fill in the blank, right? Like
Yep.
ADHD. I'm
Hmm.
sad. I have to work too much. Milk's too expensive. This is too hard. And I'm like, people are figuring it out. Every
Well, it's the
single day,
same
people
as
are figuring it
like
out.
it's like like I don't really hear it much these days, but I remember like back in the day, I just can't gain weight. I'm such a hard gainer. I'm like, how much are you eating?
Yeah.
Well, I'm eating a lot. I was like, show me your diet. Show like write down like give me a food log for the week, and it comes back. You'd be like, oh, okay, like that's really not that much.
Right.
What do you mean? I was like, dude, I tell my wife this at times. She's fucking disgusted with me. I was like, when I was like, there was days where like back in Scotland, I would drink 3 liters of milk a day.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, when I was competing Giants Live 2017, I I was having, was it 8 ounces, 8 or 10 ounces of ground beef and 2 cooked cups of rice, like 5 times a day, plus breakfast and blah 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 blah. And it
Yeah.
got to the point where I was like, I can't get this in anymore. I've got no appetite. So I
Yeah.
started adding Alfredo sauce to everything,
Yeah.
and it made it like the food went down
You will
and
gain weight.
the calories went up. And I remember
Yep.
turning up to the show, and the guy who was doing my program at the time, um, or he would be doing my program, and then I'd start doing my own thing. And I got there, he's like, dude, what the fuck have you been doing? Like, you look like you were like 300 plus pounds. I'm like, that's probably because I am. you know, I was like, I'm big right now. And it's
Yeah.
just putting that effort in and finding the solution to it. I can sit here, and say, hey, the XYZ is not going well. Okay, what am I going to do about it?
Right. Thing is, like, you got to be willing to do what others not willing to do, right? Like, there's a famous quote of like, I will do today what others won't, so I can do tomorrow what others can't, right? And
Yes.
like,
Yep.
that's exactly what you're talking about. Like, how many people talk. I wish I could. I can't do this. Blah 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 blah.
Hmm.
And I'm like, you're just not doing it. Like, it's capable for everyone. You're just not doing it. Like, it's like a 500-pound deadlift. Like, to a lot of people, they're like, I could never deadlift 500 pounds. I'm like, you know how many people under 150 pounds body weight I've gotten to deadlift 500 pounds? Like, it's like if you're a grown man outside of like having serious physical ailments, like you should be able to deadlift 500 pounds, right? My buddy Miles, who has cerebral palsy, if people knows who Miles Taylor's are,
Hmm.
who Miles Taylor is, he's been at the Arnold. He deadlifted. We
Yep.
were up on the Arnold stage, myself, Uncle Nick, and him, and the dude has cerebral palsy, might weigh 100 pounds, probably in the 90-pound range, right?
Jeez.
And he's deadlifting like 225, 250, right? And then I get a normal dude who's like a cop or something who comes in and he's like, I can't, 250 is too heavy. I'm like, bro, like a
Yeah.
dude who can't tie his shoes or balance correctly can do that because he
Yeah.
has the right mindset. Like,
Hmm.
you got to have the right form. You got to do all things right, right? But like, these ceilings that we put on our head for what is
Oh, dude.
hard is ridiculous. We live in the easiest, softest times ever, right? Like right now, if you want to do your diet, you can have a million apps. You can have food delivered to your
Hmm.
house. You have all the protein options in the world. You have all the supplements options in the world. Drugs are better. Everything's better. Everything's easier. You don't look like Arnold. You don't look like the dudes from Pumping Iron. Why?
Yeah.
They didn't have the education, the food, the
Hmm.
drugs, they didn't have any of that stuff, and they made it happen, right? Like, what is really stopping you? because you have
Yeah.
solutions for everyday living. You have the easiest solutions possible for everyday living, and you're still saying how hard it is. How soft are you? Right? Like,
Well, it's like meal prep. Meal prep takes so long. I'm like, well, not really. Like,
really?
I can literally cook a pound of beef in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
You
Or like
know?
I can throw 12 chicken breasts in a casserole dish and throw in the oven for 40 minutes, and I have 12
Yeah.
chicken breasts. Like,
Yeah.
it's not that hard. Crock
Yeah.
pots, right? Like crock pot change. The crock pot gets old because a lot of food tastes the same. But like crock
Yeah.
pots changed my life for a while. I'm like, I need food for tomorrow. I put a bunch of it in this thing. I hit start. I go to bed. I wake up. I have food. Like it's
Yeah.
done. Right? Like
Well, that's like
like
it's
there's
like
so many
rice.
things you can
It's
do.
silly stuff. Like
I
literally, my
know.
wife is like, "This rice is so good. Like, what did you do to it?" I'm like, I put it in the instant pot for 6 minutes and then let it sit." I was like, "It's just
Right.
I buy the sushi rice and that's it." It's like
Right.
exactly what you said. I will throw my rice in, let that sit, and then as it's finished, I let it naturally decompress. So I'll cook my beef, like cut my vegetables, cook my beef,
Yep.
and by the time that's all done, it's good to mix together. And it's taking me what, 30 minutes? I'll literally do the dishes. I make her food, my food, and it's just done.
Yep.
It takes me maybe 90 minutes on a Sunday.
It's like eggs. When people are like, I don't have time to make breakfast, I'm like, it literally takes like 3 minutes to fry 6 eggs. Like I
Yeah.
don't know what to tell you. Like get the pan
Yeah.
hot, throw eggs in it, move it around. You got breakfast. Like it takes you almost as long to do your little chemistry experiment with the protein shake. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like
Yep.
like just do it. Like stop
Hmm.
talking about it. Stop thinking about how hard it is. Motivation follows action. Action doesn't
Yep.
follow motivation. Just start. Right? Like it'll be easier once you like. Man, it's so hard. It's so hard because you're kind of fighting against everything in culture that's like, it's got to be easy. It's got to be safe. It's got to be balanced. It's got to be
And
all these
it's
things.
gonna be now.
Yeah. And it's got exactly like, you remember when you were little and like a Christmas special would come on and you had to wait like 3 months to see like Charlie Brown. And like, you were like, we need to be home by grandma's by 8 p.m. to see
Hmm.
this thing,
Dude,
right? Because there was no
dial-up
DVR. There was
internet.
no, yes. Yeah.
Dial-up internet. If we had
Yep.
dial-up internet today, kids would be so much better.
I 100% agree. I
You know?
100% agree.
Oh,
I
mom's gonna take a phone call. Get off the computer. Fuck.
yeah. Yeah. Let's see a
It's just,
game when your computer goes like
oh my god, dude. And it would just
grew
drop
up
for
in a
no
different
reason in
time,
the middle
man.
of something. Oh god, yeah.
But
The fuck
I'm happy that I did because I would not be the
Hundred
same man.
percent.
Because I'm
Yeah.
telling you, like this, like I said, I was on Brian Shaw's podcast a couple weeks ago, and we had a discussion similar about this kind of thing, and we both made the statement that like we think the world's soft, right? Like I
Hmm.
think the
Yeah.
world's softer than it used to be. I do. I
Yeah.
that is I can't I don't know how to say it any nicer. And like the number of people who got mad at me because I said the world was soft, I was like, bro, we are we are not as smart. We are not as strong. We are all fatter. We are all lazier. We all don't have attention spans. Like we don't read. We don't think. We don't. How
Yeah.
are we in any way superior to what we were before? Right? Like,
Yeah.
granted, there are a lot of technology that makes things a lot better and easier. I'm not bashing technology. I'm not saying
Well, I
that.
feel
But
it's
like,
convenience is the issue.
yes,
There is no. It's like like one of the best things I've done in the last year has been starting to read again. And like
yeah,
I would read, like if I would go on vacation, I'd bring a book here and there, but
sure,
like I read every night now, and it might not be much. It's like it's basically get to bed, I have my stupid little red light thing, and I
yeah,
lay in the dark with my red light on, reading my book, and I might get 5 pages. And I'm like, okay, I'm tired enough to sleep now, and I sleep great.
good,
And it's just like stuff like that. Like, and it's also like I said this with another guest. I was like, it's the delayed gratification of reading a story. You
yeah,
know, like you don't
it's
get
true,
everything right now, and I think
it's
that's
true,
part of the issue. Is like the food we eat, you know everything is just now, and but it's also like the stuff like with the fatherhood stuff coming down, um and happening. Like, been looking at some like the shows we have these days on TV. like it's all rapid changes, and it changes how kids interact with the show, and like, oh, you can't, damn, you can't drag them away from the show because they're so like stuck on it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you should watch these 90s shows, they're on these streaming platforms. And
Right.
it's like you watch it, and then the kid will they'll watch one episode, and then they'll go away, and they're fine. It's just everything's just changed, and everything's it's very much
Yeah.
consumer based society. But I would agree that we are softer as a society, 100%.
I just think we've gotten away from what made us great, right?
Yeah.
Because it's everything's a crutch now, right? The same way that like if you're I don't have a good thing for it now, but like if you stop using your legs, right? Like they're gonna atrophy.
Hmm.
So you gotta use your legs, right? Like you
Hmm.
have to do hard things if you want to stay at like a peak optimal level. And that goes across everything. You need to be disciplined with your money. You need to be disciplined
Yep.
with what goes in your mouth. You need to be disciplined with how you spend your time. You need to be disciplined with the people you surround yourself around. What you
Hmm.
take in, right? Because like you might think it's harmless to like look at certain things or listen to certain things or whatever, but like everything you take in affects you. Like it does, even if you think it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like there, it is coming in. And like one thing's for sure, if you are around positive people all of the time, you're gonna be positive and your life is gonna move up, right? Like I know I've known many prison guards in my life, and every single one of them becomes a miserable individual
Hmm.
after like a year or two of being in the prison system because everyone around them is negative and very unhappy, right? Like if you're around negative people all the time, you're going to be a negative person. If you're around hardworking people all the time, you're going to be a hardworking person. If you were around successful people all the time, you're going to be successful. Like,
Hmm.
but it takes effort, right? It's easy
Yes.
to like taking the easy path hurts us so much more. There's a book called The Comfort Crisis that I think you'd like a lot. The dude's name is Michael Easter, and I recommend this to as many people as I can. And it just talks about how like we've gotten away from hard things and what has actually happened to our brains. They did a study, and I'm gonna butcher this because I'm just paraphrasing it, but like they did a study of like where they showed people 60, I'm just going to use 60 as a number of faces, right? And you needed to say like, is this a nice person or is this a mean person, right? And at first it
Mm.
started out where dudes are like, and you're like, that's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
mean
yeah.
person, right? And then they slowly started taking mean people away. And what they found was like, when more bad things leave your brain, when you stop
Mm.
processing bad things, your brain will find bad things. Even though there weren't bad people in the lineup, they found bad people, right? Because
Mm.
that's what our brains do. That's how we've survived, right? The people who could kind of see the problem before it happened in a hunter-gatherer, need to gather firewood, need to
Hmm. Hmm.
gather clean water, like in that world, the people who could recognize the negative thing and prepare for it and be ready for it survived. The people who got caught by surprise did not, right? And so, kind of like it's been bred into us. And so now, literally, like if your life is going great, your brain is programmed to find the negative things, right? Because of
Hmm.
before, like, because the negative things helped us survive. But in this world where, like, outside of like a really random thing, like you're probably not going to walk out and get eaten by a lion tomorrow or like
Yes.
get what you know what I mean? And so like
Hmm.
your brain starts looking at normal things and going, this is so hard. Like I have to do cardio, that is so hard. I need to eat
Yeah.
clean, that is so hard. And like what people believe is hard is not hard. And they need to reprogram their brains to start being like, this is not hard. This is an opportunity. This is an
Yeah.
opportunity to build my mental toughness, to build my window of tolerance, to become a stronger individual, to become better. But instead, it's like, oh no, bad thing happened. Instead of like, bad thing happened. Let's see what we can do, right? Like, let's
Well, it's
see how
this.
this
It's
conditioning it. Let's see how we're going to
yes.
react, right? Like, this is an opportunity. And if you can think like that, it's the difference between like focusing on what you do have versus what you don't have, or
Hmm.
focusing your perspective changes everything. But we live in a society that like is literally changed our perspectives because everything is nerfed up and softened. And so it's
Well,
like if you are not voluntarily doing hard things on a regular basis, like you are missing out on a lot of life just because again, you're letting life happen to you, right? Like something happens and you're
yeah.
you're a victim. You just got knocked off your track instead of being like, all right, like there's two responses like getting punched, right? Like you can fall on the ground and you can cry and stay down there, or you can get back up and you can learn how to fight, right?
Yeah.
And like in this society, now when you get punched down, people are like, stay down, stay down. Like,
Yeah.
don't get back up. Like you went through a hard, just stay down. And I'm like, nah, that has never been how anyone has ever won anything in their entire life. Like this, what happened to like get back on the horse, right? Like
Yeah.
you get knocked down, like you literally need to figure out where you went wrong because there is no lose, right? Like it's not win or lose, it's win or learn.
No.
You just
Yes.
get the data
Yes.
from what happened and then you make sure it doesn't happen again. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for growth. It is not a bad thing, right? And if you can get there, whole life will change. Everything will change.
It's the same outlook as, oh man, I have to do this. Well, instead of saying that, say, I get to do this.
Yeah. There are people with that there are. I work with a lot of adaptive athletes, like I said, dude with cerebral palsy, dudes who lost their legs. Man, my world completely changed when a dude named Zabi Osa walked through my door of the gym, right? YouTube was real big. I was having visitors all the time. So people would just walk in and I'd be shaking hands, right? And this line of dudes walked in, shook the first dude's hand, shook dude's second dude's hand, went to shake the third dude's hand. And I was like, I don't have a hold of a full hand here. Kind of felt like I'm making an I love you symbol. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so I grabbed it and I was like, all right. And I looked at his other arm and there was no arm. It was cut off like at the elbow, right? And Zabi was born like this. Like his hand wasn't fully developed and his arm only went to the elbow, right? Mm-hmm. And I'd never worked with adaptive people at that time. And my brain immediately started spiraling. I was like, what in the heck am I going to do with this dude? I'm supposed to know what I have no idea. So I was like, guys, go get warmed up. I'm going to do some paperwork. I'll be right with you. So I go over and I am like frantically just like scribbling on a piece of paper going, what am I going to do? I'm not writing anything. I'm just thinking. I'm like, I don't know how a dude doesn't have, he has half a hand and half an arm. Like, how am I going to get this guy to do anything? And then my buddy, Uncle Nick, who's like a world champion now and like awesome dude, Nikolai Myers, he walked up and he's like, hey man, check it out. And I turn and I look and Zabi on a pull-up bar that's like 10 feet above the ground is doing muscle ups with a part of a hand and his elbow. He's doing muscle ups. And I'm like, well, everything that I thought was possible just went away, right?
No shit.
Like everything that I thought just changed. And literally from that point forward, because literally like you can look at like, well, I don't have a hand and I don't have an arm. I can't do these things. Mm-hmm. I mean, that dude, Zabi was doing banded bench press with the barbell balanced on his elbow with like 300 pounds. And I'm like, he does clean and presses with his elbow. The bar's like check him out. His XABIOSO, right? Awesome. Okay. Awesome, dude. Now he's like a high level adaptive CrossFit guy, like literally like way up there. But literally the dude changed my world. And like the thing that I learned, I had a shirt that said that says suffer beautifully. It's a term that I came up with because like when I saw these guys and these people, these individuals doing this stuff, it changed me, right? Because I was like, it's no longer like I need to go do those squats. I'm like, I'm working with dudes who lost their legs in the war, right? So like those guys would literally kill to have one more set. To feel that burning in their legs, to walk over there and do that, to do the things that you take for granted every single day. You're too blessed not to. Go do it, right? Go do it till you can't do it, And like, that changed so much of my perspective, man. And then when I got sick and started throwing up like 30, 50 times every single day, and people were like, how did you work out through that? I was like, I had a bunch of dudes who like didn't have arms, didn't have legs, can't tie their shoes, don't have balance, don't have the mental capacity. Like, I'm too blessed not to get my butt up and go do some deadlifts, right? Like, I'm going to do what I can. Like,
yes.
And that's, so many people right now just give up because they're like, well, that's not me. I don't have the genetics. I'm not good at math. I can't do that. I'm like, do what you can and then do a little more. And the next time, do a little more. And you're not only going to build your body, you're going to build your mind, right? Because whatever you do more of is what you're going to fall back on. And like, if you are used to going, here's my line. And if every single day you walk in that gym, you and I both know sometimes strength doesn't show up to the party, right? You go to deadlift and 405 is stuck to the ground and you're like, well, that my plans, this isn't. Well, you can either look at that as a failure, right? Or you can look at it and be like, I need to shift my day, right? Like now I'm working technique or I'm doing bodybuilding or I'm doing conditioning work or something, right? But I will not leave this gym until I walk out with a win, meaning that like I got to a point where I really, really wanted to quit and I
Yep.
did a little bit more. I
Yep.
overcame today, right? And if you do that, that's literally stress inoculation, meaning that like your mental toughness just got a little bigger. Just like your deadlift or your bench or your pecs or whatever can get bigger,
Whatever it
that's
is.
got a little bigger. And keep going and keep going and keep going. And before you know it, you are a bulletproof individual. Like literally like normal things. It's like Fight Club. They're like the volume of everyday life just gets turned down because you're like, no matter what comes at me today, I might believe that I'm not going to make it through. But I also didn't think I was going to make it through that set of squats.
Yep.
And literally now I have a milestone that I built physically. Like, yeah, I thought there was no way I could do it, but I did. I actually had 10 more in me when I thought I was done. This moment is not going to define me, right?
Yep.
Because like as much as people want to say like when I say the only difference between who you are now and who you're going to be in 5 years comes down to every decision you make, people are like, yeah, but bad things happen. I'm like, of course bad things happen. And trust me, more bad things are coming. They are. But what we do with what happens to us is what defines us as people, right? Like, it is not your wins that you're defined by. It's what happened when you got kicked in the nuts, you were laying on the ground. What did you do, right?
Yep.
And right now, there's a lot of people literally voluntarily laying on the ground like they got kicked in the nuts and won't get up because it's too hard. And I'm like, bro, tell that to the dude who got his arms blown off, his legs blown off, who can't see, who can't, like, tell that to that dude. Tell him how hard your life is. Tell him how tough you got it, right? Go do your squats. You know?
Oh, dude, you're preaching to the choir. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, man. I know I am, man. I'm just talking to the
Oh, I
world
love it.
right now.
I love it.
Yeah, man.
So with that, in the words of your father, I think that's enough for today.
That's enough for today.
I think so.
My man.
So tell everybody before you go, where can everyone find you? All that good stuff. If they want to work with you, watch YouTube, Instagram.
Sure. So my name is Brian Alsruhe, common spelling, right? I'm sure you'll have it up because no one's going to spell it right. No one says it. You said it right. Good job, bro. Yeah, you can just find my YouTube there. That's also my Instagram. But my gym's name is Never Sate. Neversate, as in never satiated, like constant and never ending improvement, whether that be physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever, right? And like, if you want to work with me as like a mental toughness coach, a applied psychology for human optimization, or you need programming or just physical coaching, like I'm available for both. Just email me at neversate@gmail.com and I will get back to you. I'm the dude who answers them all. So
love it.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, thank you beyond words for coming on. I very, very, very much appreciate it.
I appreciate the opportunity, brother. I truly do.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll do this again sometime.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.